up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I just wanted to speak again on this Cain Velasquez situation really quick. I actually watched a video earlier on the Weasel's channel, and he was basically saying what we've all heard at this point. 3 years, time served already, so you're looking at probably about 2 years of the total 5-year sentence that Cain Velasquez may serve. I know they have a day per day, or day for day rather, law in California, so that may make it a little bit less. He could get out even earlier than that if he is a model prisoner, which you gotta think a guy like Cain Velasquez, with the sort of discipline that it takes to be a Division I college wrestler, an MMA coach, not to even mention a multi-time UFC heavyweight champion, that the guy probably has some tools and skill sets that he could offer to the prisoners there while he's there. So I would not be shocked or surprised, especially knowing that he's a family man and loves his family the way he does, to see him get out in even a less amount of time than a year, is what I'm getting at. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the Weasel's video because there's some things that I think people aren't really understanding.
So I think we have all the details now about the conclusion of Cain Velasquez's case. It's good to wait on these things for all the details to come out first, because there are some details that haven't been reported recently regarding Cain Velasquez's case, where he's had a retroactive 5-year sentence after he pled no contest to felony attempted murder and assault and weapon charges. So Cain has already served 3 years of that sentence. He spent 1 year in jail, 2 years in house arrest. He has another 541 days left, which is about a year and a half. He could also have early leave based on good behavior, so Cain Velasquez could be freed even earlier than that. All while Harry Goularte, the accused man of molesting his then 4-year-old son, and it's allegedly over 100 times, at a daycare facility which was owned by Harry Goularte's mother, is still free and is yet to have gone to court, while Cain's case has concluded and he's locked up in jail. An absolute nightmare for any parent. Cain Velasquez is in jail while that man is walking. For now, he is going to have his court date, and we'll see his sentence from there. I don't know why he's taking them so long. I don't know why they let him free in the first place. Not only that, they tried to imprison Cain for 30 years to life. But thankfully, Cain is a good lawyer. But for anybody that doesn't know the story, so this is basically how the story went. Cain Velasquez heard of this, that Harry Goularte was free. Velasquez took matters into his own hands as he believed the system has failed his family, and chased Harry Goularte for 11 miles on the afternoon of February 28, 2022. Harry Goularte was not driving, it was his stepfather, so Cain started shooting at the intersection. I don't know how many cars were on the road, I don't know if there was people walking on the sidewalks. It's at an intersection. Usually intersections have multiple cars, it's busier. But we do know at some point there was a school with students leaving with their parents and teachers outside, somewhere around the chase, as Cain was shooting. Cain is shooting at this truck. He doesn't know who's in the truck besides his target. So it's most likely like a tunnel vision moment for him. And the chase continued. Cain rammed his own car into Harry Goularte's and then started shooting at it again. Missed his target and hit the stepfather in the arm and torso. Now, according to an assistant district attorney of Santa Clara County, which is the area of which this all happened, this hasn't been reported really anywhere except the official site. Apparently, the sprayed bullets were also near a school crowded with children, teachers, and parents. This is what it says, according to Angela Bernhard, assistant district attorney.
And I see that people keep referencing, why is the guy who molested his child, Harry Goularte, still not had his day in court, whereas Cain Velasquez has already been tried and sentenced and all the rest of it. And a lot of people don't want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we all know that child molesters are looked down upon by even murderers and even rapists, okay? So nobody wants to be known as the child pedophile sympathizer, okay? So nobody wants to speak on it. Neither am I wanting to be known as a child pedophilia sympathizer. Is a horrible, horrible, horrible crime. I have 2 children of my own, both of them sons, and I would just rip someone's head straight off of their neck if they did something to hurt my son. So I can only imagine how it must have felt for Cain Velasquez to find that out. But from a legal perspective, especially when you're dealing with a young child, 4 years old, who still has very rudimentary language, this burden of proof is very heavy for the prosecution in regards to Harry Goularte. Okay, how do I know this? Well, believe it or not, I do have some expertise in this area. My actual educational background is I have a bachelor's degree in early childhood development, birth through kindergarten. So I know all about children birth through kindergarten age. So 4-year-olds, I know quite a lot about 4-year-olds. I used to work with 4-year-olds, their milestones, what their language is like at that age. And, you know, not only law enforcement, but attorneys and investigators, child protective service investigators, all of them have to do their due diligence. And if it's something, you know, this, you're talking about a daycare. So when they question Cain Velasquez's child and try to draw out of him what may have taken place with Harry Goularte in the daycare, at the same time, simultaneously, they're also going to try to question a lot of other children. So there's a lot of other children involved. Cain Velasquez admitted to what he did. Turned himself in, held his hands up, yep, I did it. Here's why I did it. Take me in. That sort of thing, right? Whereas Harry Goularte is denying that he did this. Not only that, but when approaching children and trying to speak to a 4-year-old who only has perhaps a few thousand words in their vocabulary about what may have happened to them, you have to always lead in with open-ended questions. Otherwise, you may not get open-ended responses. In other words, investigators in the past have gotten in trouble for talking to young children in a way that is leading. You know, there's a difference if you say, hey, so when Mr. Harry Goularte came into the bathroom with you, what happened? What happened after that? There's a difference in that and saying, when Mr. Harry Goularte came into the bathroom with you, did he approach you? And did he touch you? And if he did he touch you here? And did he touch you in this way? How did he touch? You know, then the child may respond with a completely different response by saying, yeah, he did, because they want to please adults, right? And they don't have the formal language to really be able to effectively communicate what actually happened. Furthermore, they don't know a lot about consequences. They don't know what consequences mean. They don't know how what they are doing and saying could potentially affect this accused person. So you have to take all of these things into consideration when interviewing children. And really, to be honest with you, without sounding like a pedophilia sympathizer, you can call me that all you want to. I've never been accused of anything like that and never will be. I would never harm a child. But to say the least, you have to consider that when speaking with children and dealing with children, it is going to be a much higher burden of proof to prove that these things happened in this bathroom, right? Because children are not able to effectively communicate what has actually happened to them. A 4-year-old is asexual completely. Okay, and a 4-year-old likely still is being helped to bathe at home, right? So he probably has his parents, you know, touching his private parts and stuff like that to help wash him and things like that. And if this isn't a very advanced child for 4 years old, you know, to them they may have trouble knowing the difference in what's appropriate, what's not appropriate as far as the touching of the genitalia and all that. So they have to dig through all of this, and they also have to dig through and consider, you know, what the child is actually saying and reconcile that with the fact that they are talking to and trying to pull out of information from a being who maybe has a couple of thousand words total and has absolutely no understanding of sexuality, no understanding of consequences and how consequences may affect someone's future. And people online are automatically, you know, this guy is guilty until proven innocent as far as people are concerned, you know? And I hear people saying stuff like, look at this guy. I mean, he looks like a fucking diddler. He looks like a pedo. What? How does somebody look like a pedo? You know, if you had never heard this story and this guy's face had never been flashed across the news as the person that Cain Velasquez, former UFC heavyweight champion, chased down and shot at, if you saw this guy walking around in the street, would you just automatically say, oh, no, there's a pedo for you? No, you wouldn't. So there's no look of a pedo. Well, there might be. But, you know, I wouldn't say him necessarily, but there's a lot of stuff that they have to dig through, the prosecution that is, to bolster up their case when you're dealing with a bunch of young children, right? Cain Velasquez stepped up immediately, yep, I did it. I admit to it. You know, I did it. I mean, he pled no contest, but he did it. He never denied that he, you know, did what he did. That's not the case here. This guy's denying it. And if they don't get substantial evidence, which is going to require talking to not only teachers, directors of that daycare, talking to parents of the children, talking to the children, and talking to the children not just by regular investigators. They have to involve CPS, because you have to know how to talk to a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid, because they're completely different. They don't have the understanding that an adult has on what might be appropriate, what might be not, as far as touching goes. Did he just help you pull your pants down and you peed? Or did he actually touch you in a way that was inappropriate when you peed? You see what I'm saying? And so, believe it or not, it's not quite as easy, cut and dry as people might think. I just hope that justice is served. I hope that Cain gets out lickety-split. I feel like he will. I feel like he'll do a year or less. But that's the reason, guys. That's the reason, Weasel. That's the reason that it's taking a while for this guy's court date to arrive, because it's harder to, and they don't want to take this thing to court, spend all this time, spend all this money, the prosecution, and then end up having this guy walk free. So they want to make sure that they have all their I's dotted, all their T's crossed. And there's a lot more layers to this, and making sure that this guy doesn't walk free, if he is in fact a child molester, than there is a guy who chased some people down the street, shot at them, stepped out of the car and said, yeah, I did it, and here's why I did it. Take me to jail. It's a lot more to it. Okay, so that's why it's taking longer. It's not that somehow California thinks that diddling a child is not bad, but a guy who goes to protect his son is just the scum of the earth. No. People just don't understand the legalities behind it. And am I an attorney? No, I'm not an attorney, but I do understand children, and I do understand how difficult it can be to get information out of children. And it's just like it takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take a village to extract what they can consider the correct information from these children. And the parents are going to have to be involved, CPS, law enforcement, attorneys, all of them working collectively to try to make sure. Now, I'll catch hate for this, I'm sure, because everybody just automatically assumes the guy's guilty. But if a child has been told, oh, somebody touched you in a weird way, and the child has just agreed to it, and then somehow the Harry Goularte gets off on some legality, then you've got a guy who's guilty of child molestation walking around on the streets. Or there's the flip side of that. What if he's not guilty? I'm not saying he's not. Maybe he is. Maybe likely he is. But what if he's not? You know? You're going to label someone a child molester who is the scum on the bottom of a murderer and rapist's shoe? Put them on the sex, what is it? The list. I can't remember. There's some sort of list that people go on when they have some sort of sex crime like that. You're going to put them on the list, a felony, they can never get a job again, something that's going to affect them the rest of their lives, and, you know, all the rest of it, when you can't really prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they did with the child who has only a couple thousand words in their vocabulary and has no knowledge of sex, no knowledge of consequences, no knowledge of any of it. I just, you know, come on, guys. Come on. This is why it's taking a while. We all have to be smarter than this. I gotta go. Subscribe to the channel if you would like the video. I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.